Folks, happy Friday and welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name is Jason Robertson and I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Peterson. Thanks for joining us, folks. Jason, we have reached the moment where Democrats are just outright defending evil. They're defending corruption, fraud, waste. They don't care anymore. They're out there defending that. What is happening in our world, Jason? The party doesn't even want to try to hide their corruption anymore. Oh, you can't look into that. Don't audit that. We're going to scream about it all day long. Trump's a fascist because he's going to shrink the government and root out corruption. Wild times, Jason, wild times.
Oh my gosh. And I got to say, we are not even 3 weeks into Trump 2.0. And to say it's a 10 out of 10 is insulting. It is like a 20 out of 20. And this U.S. aid stuff we're going to be diving into. We got a bunch of videos. We're going to go through it all. I can't love this more. Before we get started, though, we do a bad job of this, Todd. So I was going to make a commitment that we try to do a little better job. Do us a favor, folks. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the share button. Drop a comment. We already got K-Gun Girl over on the Rumble side. Top of the morning, giddy up. But when you hit like, comment, and share, it helps us get reach. I will say, too, at the end of the show, we do an extra half hour over on the Rumble where we're not censored. We're on Facebook, YouTube, a bunch of platforms that people watch us on. Then we got to couch some of our language a little bit. But the last half hour of the show, we flop over to Rumble only. For those who don't know about Rumble, it's an app like YouTube, rumble.com, open an account. Hey, and over there, you can even subscribe for a few bucks a month at the bottom in the comments section. We already had Paul Reese, who was our first subscriber. Shout out to Paul Reese.
And funny you mentioned Paul Reese, Jason. I was going to say, you sound caffeinated this morning. You are fired up, ready to go. I was going to say, you probably have some Split Rock coffee in your mug, folks. You can go to splitrockcoffee.com, owned by our very own Paul Reese, our very first subscriber over on Rumble. A couple dollars a month to support the show. And we like to support Paul. Head over to splitrockcoffee.com. Use promo code TOD10 for instant savings on your order. And subscribe and save today for even more savings and to get the fresh ground coffee delivered to your door every month. No more trips to the grocery store. No more trips to the grocery store.
You know what's funny, too? So my wife, she's working from home now, and she drinks a cup of coffee in the morning. So she doesn't like the dark roast as much as I do. I love dark roast coffee. So I went with the lighter roast, so it's a little easier on her. But what I've discovered is the lighter the roast, the more caffeine. So like between like 5 a.m. when I get up and noon, my wife is dealing with me bouncing off the walls. It's phenomenal.
Fantastic. Yeah. We got Jerry in the comments showing their true self. Yes, I have been saying, Jason, I am not the first to say it, but I've been pointing out for a long time, and certainly since Trump took office, Democrats will literally have to defend evil if they oppose Donald Trump. This has been obvious because Donald Trump got into office and we elected him to close the border and keep Americans safe, stop the trafficking of humans and drugs, stop the assault on American citizens, law-abiding, tax-paying, good American people at the hands of illegals, stop foreign wars, put the bad guys in jails. We don't need all these violent offenders out on the streets. If you are kind to the cruel, like Democrats are, you'll be cruel to the kind, just law-abiding American citizens. Like, they have to defend evil when they're opposed to these America First policies. And you are seeing this play out when we look specifically at the corruption and fraud and waste that is U.S. aid and all of these government agencies. Oh, no, Donald Trump can't look into where all this money is getting spent or not getting spent, just handed out in blank checks. Don't look at the corruption here, guys. It's okay. I can't believe Donald Trump's doing that. It is insane that they are just saying it out loud.
You know, and I got to say, too, as we go through this stuff, so Donald Trump has done so much, and we've been covering on the show. By the way, we're here every Friday, 10 to 11:30 Central Time, 11 to 12:30 Eastern. And we've been breaking down the border stuff, executive orders. He threw out DEI. He threw out the two genders. He signed no women in men's sports. Like, he has been going through with a wrecking ball of executive orders and all this stuff. And there's been some protests. Like, you get the illegals out in the streets and whatnot. But nothing has mobilized the Democrat establishment like going after USAID. It is phenomenal to watch it. And we're going to talk about how, like, you're starting to see the corruption. You're seeing the ridiculous spending. But even the position Democrats are taking is such an awful political position that you can't even imagine. Now, Todd, be honest. Before these last few weeks, did you even know what USAID was really?
I had heard about it. No, if I'm being honest, you're just like, this is one more agency. If you had asked me pick out the top 5 most corrupt government agencies, I don't think I'd choose USAID. I mean, you look at their budget, you look at the staffing, you're like, there's bigger ones out there. Doesn't seem like it influences me. Jason, I was 100% wrong. It seems like USAID is the front for all of the most corrupt narratives we've seen in society. And folks, we can't spend the entire time just saying what USAID is. I mean, I would recommend listening to Cyber Benz, Mike Benz over on X. I mean, his job every day is to just say, here's all the dots and the connections of USAID, and here's how deep the rabbit hole goes. But I mean, we're talking about funding media to create false narratives. I mean, some of the most prominent fake news stories you've heard about. Turns out your tax dollars funneled through USAID to media outlets. That created the narratives. I saw a report from Libs at TikTok, Jason, that USAID had money get funneled to Black Lives Matter during the 2020 George Floyd riots. So, folks, your own small businesses, communities burned to the ground, literally paid for by your own tax dollars. I mean, the rabbit hole. Jason, you and I were talking before the show. We've only scratched the surface. 3 weeks in office. Elon Musk has been looking at this for maybe 1 week prominently. There is so much more to uncover, and it is so telling that Democrats, of all the things to protest, are protesting this.
Yeah. Hey, I got to say, too, hey, before we get too far, Wrong Thing Nation. First time I think we've seen a chat from them on the Rumble, and the party doesn't start without Dee Dee. We got Dee Dee. Now we just need a Fally and a Kev 1, right? And then like the gangs getting here.
Oh, I had to get to this one too. It is fun to watch them exposing themselves. Yeah, we have some video clips. I think the Brett Weinstein clip is going to be fantastic for that one. But yeah, Lauren, nail on the head there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting.
Right. So first of all, I got to say, and we're going to peel back some of these layers before we get into the videos. USAID, when you hear that name, you think it is our international, like, oh, this is where we go feed the poor, right? Turns out the name of the agency is the United States Agency for International Development, which kind of expands that whole bucket of what they're doing. It was a nondescript government agency that people heard about, and people that were really deep into this stuff, like Mike Benz, have been calling it out. But basically, when Congress says we're going to spend a bunch of money, the money goes to the unelected bureaucrats of USAID. And like they'll pass an omnibus bill that has a high level, like we want to spend $5 billion in, doing something in another country, whatever it is, developing Haiti, or we want to help Afghanistan. And then the bureaucrats at USAID actually determine a lot where that money goes, which is kind of interesting. But then it turns out, as Elon, like as they were looking at peeling this apart, it is a huge corrupt Ponzi scheme where, and I don't even know if you can call it a Ponzi scheme, Todd. What do you think it is? More like money laundering and like mob stuff?
Straight up laundering and corruption. Here's a check for it. When you get into the numbers, Jason, and you look at this immigrant resettlement stuff, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars to these quote religious institutions like Catholic social services, Lutheran services. Oh, we're just going to take the poor and the needy and give them a home and just get them on their feet. Yeah, because that costs hundreds of millions of dollars of your tax money.
Yeah, funny too. We wrote an article on our website, the American Tribune. Todd made a little video on it. That woke priest who was squawking about Donald Trump a few Sundays ago and lecturing him, turns out, or whatever her title is in the church, turns out her church is getting $53 million from USAID to resettle illegal immigrants into America. And then she's up there lecturing Donald Trump about this. And it was funny too. Information's being released, and I haven't confirmed it, so we haven't written an article on it yet. But it looked like some agencies like, hey, we got some people to send back. Will you help us out? And they're like, no, we're a one-way trip. And it's like, wait a second. You guys are the biggest clowns ever.
Man, there is so much to talk about. Maybe, Jason, we do devote an entire episode one time just to kind of peel back all the layers. But folks, we wanted to spend this hour, on Facebook at least, hour and a half with you all over on Rumble, going through the Democrat reaction as well. Because like we said, like the title of the show is, they're defending corruption, they're defending fraud, they defend evil. This is who the Democrat Party is nowadays. So we've got clips of your Dem politicians out there saying the most outrageous stuff. We got some great analysis that we're going to show as well from different voices. I don't know about you, Jason. I think we should roll with the first clip here. Here's Chuck Schumer getting mad about Donald Trump exposing fraud and
corruption. Give me 1 more minute to frame this up for people, if that's okay, Todd. Permission?
Engage. Yeah.
Engage. So understand, USAID, it's this government entity. They distribute all this money to the NGOs. The reason why nobody can keep up with it is because the money goes in and then it gets split up and rediverted into all these different companies. And so you can't see the scam all come into focus because it's like they're moving money from this account to that account to the other account to, and they're moving it around, and you got to go through all these manual ledgers and who paid what, who got this. So Elon Musk brings in dudes he knows from his other businesses, SpaceX, Tesla, which, by the way, for all the screaming from the Democrats, Elon Musk has top secret security clearance. So does his staff. They had it for their other businesses. They've been background checked. They've been vetted. But they went in with AI computer algorithms that could process all this information 1,000,000 times faster than a human could. And so it starts putting all this stuff together. And then you can also look for words so that, digging through these thousands of pages of documents, it just clips out different things. And so he hasn't really done anything yet. They've just gone in with their search algorithms and found all this stuff, and they're sharing it with people. And then they give it to the administration to take action on. So yeah, it's fascinating. K-Gun Girl. We should tell Wayne that. Yeah, Wayne, K-Gun Girl, I'm just going to say this. Wayne will never, he doesn't like Elon. He will never like Elon. I'm sorry. But anyways, Todd, let's get to the video.
I had to post that up there, K-Gun Girl. That was funny. All right. Well, Jason, while you were talking here, folks, I was just popping up all of our Facebook comments. So many of them. So thank you for watching the show. Thanks for dropping your thoughts in the comment section. Jason, just one more plug too. We have so many viewers on our Facebook platforms. I mean, we have a massive presence on Facebook. We've got several pages, 1 million followers. Folks, if you like the show, want to contribute to the show, support the show, head over to Rumble. Like Jason said earlier, we are the American Tribune. If you just search that out, it'll kind of populate after a while, but get the app, head over to your desktop browser, but Rumble, the American Tribune, because we will shut this down on Facebook after our hour because there's some things you just can't say. So that's where the show continues. That's where our community is growing. Head over to Rumble, search out the American Tribune. But we got Paul Reese in New Orleans who's watching on Rumble. Welcome, Paul. SplitRockCoffee.com, promo code ToddTim. All right, let's jump into Chuck Schumer, though. Here we go.
And the American people, mark my words, the American people will not stand for an unelected, secret group to run rampant through the executive branch.
I have so many comments already. We'll just let Chuck say his thing.
Being innovative is good. But, Mr. Musk, this isn't a tech startup. These are public institutions that deal with things like Social Security and Medicare and national defense and provide for the well-being of the American people. And the American people have a right to be part of that debate. Part of that debate. The elections occurred, and one viewpoint got a few more votes than the other, but that doesn't mean we throw out democracy. That doesn't mean what's been done for centuries in this country should just go out the window and be substituted by a small group of people who think they know a lot more than the wisdom of the American people.
God, the thing that amazes me always is that there are people out there that are like, yes, go Chuck Schumer, speaking truth to power. Like, there are people that agree with Chuck Schumer right there, and that should frighten all of us.
I was going to say, just to break down some things. Hey, Todd, for those who don't know, Todd used to work in public education. Hey, Todd, how many people get elected in the executive branch?
Well, there's a president in the executive branch, and
the vice president, maybe, but it's part of a ticket.
Yeah, that's always sticking me. Do you elect a vice president? It seems like you elect the president and whoever they're running with. I understand there's, you can quibble over that, Jason.
So the executive branch is full of thousands and thousands of people. Only one guy gets elected. He gets to hire the entire executive branch. Chuck, this is how it works. I don't know what to tell you. The second thing, when he's talking about things things have been like this for hundreds of years, and how dare you change it? Like for thousands of years, there were men and women, and that was it. And now in the last 5 minutes, you want to rewrite it and say people can change their gender. And we've had the Second Amendment since the Constitution was written, but Chuck wants to rewrite that. Like they have no problem changing things when it suits their narrative. But and all they're doing is going in and auditing these agencies. And that's what's coming out. I got to find the Facebook comment. Somebody was saying, I want to know if they're getting kickbacks. That's what's being exposed in the first phase is here's where all this stupid money they're spending. But the second thing that's coming out is this money is getting funneled to fundraisers and supporters of the Democrat Party. And that money's going to them. They are then providing services to Democrats, kind of like Politico. This is a huge story. And just to explain the grift. So USAID, they give money to agencies, government agencies, then spend millions of dollars on subscriptions to Politico. And then Politico gives favorable coverage to their party. Now, you could say, oh, those subscriptions really don't mean anything. And oh, those are really important subscriptions. But if you don't think that millions going to Politico through those subscriptions are altering their coverage, you're an idiot. And I'll use us as an example. Split Rock Coffee. We mentioned 3 times today. Split Rock, Paul supports our show. He's a subscriber. We're going to talk about his stuff. Like advertisers help control the message. We talk about that with Big Pharma. The issue with Big Pharma advertising on the news isn't the commercial. It's the fact that they're giving hundreds of millions of dollars to the news groups. So they're not going to cover Big Pharma fairly. And it's like these Democrats, if you don't show up with a big check that's labeled bribe, they can't see it unless it's Donald Trump. I mean, if somebody spends a nickel at a Donald Trump business, like everybody loses their mind, but it's the most ridiculous thing ever.
Yeah. And everyone is spot on here. Eric writes, Chuck is a hypocrite. Jason, there was a part in here where he said, Donald Trump only won by a slim majority. You and I often talk about, we both live in Tim Jong-Wal's state of Minnesota here. We always talk about in 2022 in the midterms, Minnesota's House and Senate and governor mansion all went to Democrats. The Democrats controlled the House by 1 seat. 1 seat. They had flipped the House from Republican to Democrat control. Democrats, not once did they say, hey, we have a very slim majority. The state is divided among the House. We're going to legislate and introduce legislation and host committees based on this 50-50 divide in the state. They didn't do that. They ran every single far-left communist ideology, worldview, utopian legislation that they could think of. I mean, they did the most insane stuff with transgenderism, with your taxes, with crime, with everything. They did not care that they had a 1-seat majority. This is how Democrats operate. This is what they did when Nancy Pelosi was Speaker of the House. She had a very small majority when she was House Speaker, and they did whatever they wanted. Democrats absolutely don't care about this slim majority. They are weaponizing your own feelings. And it always makes me think of this quote, Jason. When I am weaker than you, I ask you for freedom because that is according to your principles. When I am stronger than you, I take away your freedom because that is according to my principles. These Democrats do not care about the slim majority of Donald Trump. They care about the fact that they are out of power and they are going to emotionally blackmail you into thinking that you owe them something. This is the same party that mandated vaccines, took away your freedom, jailed you if you supported the president, now president again. These people absolutely hate you. Don't buy it for a second. And I love the fact, too, he's like, the American people are divided on this. Like, no, we elected Donald Trump to do exactly this. Schumer needs to sit down. The people have spoken. We elected Donald Trump to do everything and more. And like I said, I am blown away with what he has done in less than 3 weeks. All right, rant over, Jason. Take it away.
I was going to say it. Todd nailed it. And you used that line earlier. Kev used that on the Wayne Dupree podcast in the chat the other day.
Love that line.
Democrats are trying to emotionally blackmail you. Like they are going to dig through the hundreds of millions of dollars being spent in USAID and find the one legit program where they're feeding some group of Christians in Uganda. And that's what they're going to try to run on the news 24/7. And it is don't let them emotionally blackmail you. they're trying to do it with the border stuff, right? And we told you they were going to do that before it happened. They're going to find the one or two legit things where people get detained that shouldn't have been, or somebody got shipped out that maybe they shouldn't have. They're going to run that 24/7 on the news. Meanwhile, you got this line of hundreds of people that we don't want in the country going out. They're not going to talk about it at all. And folks, we have evolved thanks to podcasts like this, platforms like Twitter, beyond letting them emotionally blackmail you. And we're covering what's really happening, and they don't know what to do. And I got to say, I talked to 2 different Democrat friends this week, and these are what I call the normie Democrats, the guys who like welfare but aren't for communism, right? And both of them are like, why are they digging into this? Like, Elon Musk is just showing us where all this stupid money's going. Why isn't that being spent in America? And it's funny. I'm like, wake up. And they're like, they're calling for shutdowns and raids, and they're screaming about all this stuff and lock Elon up. And one of my buddies is like, I love the fact they asked like Elon's trying to steal your social security number to like open a credit card. Like, the guy is the richest human on earth, and you really think he's like trying to steal your data because he's worried about getting rich? It is the dumbest thing ever.
Well,
but I
it's
think that's
also
where some
dumb.
of this messaging is falling flat with the normie Democrats.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, a billionaire is bad all of a sudden, and you look at them and you're just like, all right, did you ride the short bus as a kid? You're telling me that the party that takes all of George Soros's money, the party that had Beyonce and Taylor Swift and Mark Cuban and Reid Hoffman, and how many billionaires? Oprah campaigned for Kamala Harris. Like, you have to literally be sub 85 IQ to think like, yeah, Elon Musk billionaire bad, and then completely not even recognize the fact that you had your own side of billionaires trying to manipulate the narrative in the public. Like, it is such a stupid talking point. Jason, I didn't say the word explicitly. I tried really hard to kind of tiptoe around some of the words that we self-censor.
Oh, Miranda's going to be so mad.
Man, I didn't say it, Miranda.
You didn't say it yet.
That they're like billionaires bad, and this entire time they've been nothing but the party of billionaires. Like, Democrats are the party of Wall Street, and they're like, oh, Elon Musk is bad.
Right. And it's funny too, because we've only got to the auditing phase.
I know.
Like their computer access is read only. Like, all they can do is look at it. And it's fascinating too, because I was talking about it on another podcast this week, but Data Republican on Twitter X, like, some of this, there's a government website, and I'd have to look up the website. It's like spending.gov or something. You can actually see the spending, and they're building AI tools that will sort through it, so you can sort by like keyword and name. Excellent follow on Twitter though, Data Republican, because they go through and break it all down, and they build heat maps on it, and like it generates all these charts out. So they download just gigabytes of data to crank through it. But earlier the gentleman was asking like, where are the kickbacks? You can see and hear how the money on like one grant gets routed to like 25 different people. And then you can do searches to see who's on those boards. For example, they exposed that in like a 5-year span, Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Clinton got $84 million funneled to them through this NGO. And this is why they're terrified of Elon, because can you imagine as a human trying to go through, piece all this together, but you run that data through some AI thing. And like, that's what these tech nerds that Elon brought in are doing. They're like, oh, whatever, it's just data. We can parse through it. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't fact check me, Facebook. I'm saying I think I saw this. I don't even remember correctly. I don't even know if the meme is true, but something like 2 or 4% of all the money that went to Haiti after the 2010 earthquake actually went to Haiti. I don't know if you saw that on your timeline, Jason, but it's like, I believe that. I don't know if it's true, but I believe it.
Well, and actually, let me just do a quick fact check.
Yeah, and while you're doing that,
because I remember looking at the Haiti number going, this is blowing me away. So after the hurricane hit, it is $6 billion went to Haiti. Now, I got to say, if you sent $6 billion to Haiti, they should have streets paved of gold. And like, it should be the most incredible thing you've ever seen.
All right,
but
Jason,
like,
I'm doing
like
some
almost no percent of it is reaching the actual people. Yeah, and I didn't give the shout out. Fally, welcome to the party. We are enjoying watching Democrats melt down. But anyways, hey, Todd, where do we go next?
Well, I think we got to listen to Senator Kennedy here. I want to get to some comments. Yeah, we had Fally hopping in. That's why they're freaking out, 100%. We got Joe over on Facebook. I love that the S is hitting the fan. It's splattering all over the Democrats. It sure is. We love it. Loretta says, keep it going. Uncover the corruption. Lock them all up. Yes, this is the only correct answer. Keep going and then lock them up for actual crimes. Yeah. Right. And Haiti is still waiting for their money. They sure are. Never made it to Haiti. All right.
Chelsea had a hell of a wedding, though.
Yeah, she had a hell of a wedding. And then I think it was attended by Ghislaine Maxwell, too. So they had a good time together.
Who knew?
Who knew? All right. I'm just trying to find our Kennedy here. We got so many clips today, folks.
Oh, my gosh.
Here we go.
I want to try to put in perspective what many of my Democratic friends have been talking about today. They're very, very, very upset at President Trump. And they're very, very, very upset at Elon Musk. President Trump.
I just have to say, this is when I do all the videos for us, Jason, Kennedy speaks and then he breathes for a little bit to get his next thought. So there's always these 5-second pauses between my name is Senator Kennedy. And so I like whoever edited this clip. I know it took them a long time to cut out every single one of those pauses. So shout out to that person.
Trump ran for president on a number of issues. One of the issues he ran on, he said it almost every day. He said, if you elect me president, I'm going to go through the entire budget and review all the spending, line by line. If I heard him say that once, I heard him say it 1,000 times.
I got to jump in here quick. For anybody who's been in business, especially when your business is struggling, that's what you do. You call it zero-based budgeting. You call it be best. You come up with some corporate catchphrase. But I remember I was at a major retailer from Minnesota, fill in the name, and I was with them. They went through a 2-year process of that, where you literally went through every single dollar, every process, everything you were spending in the company. And then you were looking for any ways you could cut, processes you could eliminate. For those who've worked in the real world, not government, this is nothing new. Anyways, back to Kennedy.
And that's what he's been doing. He went out and appointed, through an executive order, Elon Musk, who some people like him, some don't, but he's not a dummy.
I need to point this out. Elon Musk is not a dummy. People seem to forget that Elon Musk, when he purchased Twitter and then renamed it X, that's immaterial. He bought Twitter, and reports are he fired 80% of the staff. And any of us that use the platform now don't notice that 80% of the people there are gone. There's a reason Elon Musk was specifically appointed. Very smart dude who knows how to cut out the fat, the unnecessary fat. And this, what I would argue, is more important because the fat is your tax dollars getting wasted. And wasted would be a good thing, Jason. At this point, it's just flat out corruption and harmful. If it were just waste, I think I'd be less outraged. But the fact that it is harmful, corrupt waste. So Elon Musk is there for a reason. He's not just some billionaire with an agenda, some Bond villain. He has a proven track record of doing stuff like this. That gets ignored in the conversation a lot.
He's a very successful business person. He's got a top secret security clearance. President Trump issued an executive order.
Okay, gun girl, make sure you clip that, send it to Wayne.
And he turned to Mr.
Can we also add that this is not new because Elon Musk has government contracts with Starlink and Tesla and the Boring Company and all the other things that he's done. He already had government contracts. He already had been investigated. Him being part of the Trump administration is just waking up the next day. This is not new. Yeah. Can you share all of that, please, with Wayne?
Musk. And he said, Mr. Musk, I want you to do for me what I said I was going to do in the election. I want you to go through all the spending, line by line. Now, let me ask you something, Mr. President. How are you going to review the spending without reviewing the spending? How are you going to audit the spending by an agency without auditing the agency? That's what I mean when I say common sense is illegal in Washington, D.C. That's what Mr. Musk is doing. He's put together a crackerjack team, and they're going through everybody's spending line by line, item by item. And my Democratic colleagues are very, very, very upset. And they've been very eloquent. They've talked about the process and President Trump's executive order supposedly violates the Constitution, and they've accused Mr. Musk of having conflicts of interest. And so I've heard people say he's sitting over there with a notepad copying down everybody's Social Security number, and he's going to go use it to make money. I mean, people in this town, not just my Democratic colleagues, they're really upset. They've never said anybody question their.
All right, Jason, this is a 16-minute video, folks. It is well worth listening to. It is more educational than anything else you're going to do today. We have a lot of other videos we want to get to, and I wanted to hop in on this comment as well from Gregory. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting, Gregory. Personally, I'm grateful that someone is looking into how our tax dollars are really being spent. One would think all taxpayers would be glad. Jason, one would think that. One would think we would all be glad that we know how our money is getting spent.
You know, it's funny because Kennedy speaks a lot. Like, I don't trust Kennedy as far as I could throw him, but he's a very good speaker and he gets a lot of things right. Like, you can tell how mad everybody is. And what Greg was saying about is, I think, what a lot of regular Democrats are feeling. Not the blue-haired crazy cat lady who got her 20th abortion. She's gone. But like my friends that are Democrats, like normie Democrats, they're like, why is everybody freaking out that Elon's exposing this spending? Like, even if you make the argument it's not corrupt, we should have a conversation. Is that what we really want our money spent on? We really should. This shouldn't be like controversial. Kennedy did say one thing too that was pretty powerful there, and he just kind of snuck it in when he said, there are people on our side too. And by that, they're hitting the USAID, which is mainly where the Democrats get their money. And then it's going into the Department of Education. I think they're at today. They're eventually going to get over into some of those defense contractors and Pentagon and some of that. That's when you'll see a lot of your establishment Republicans freaking out, because make no mistake, Mitch McConnell is just as corrupt as Chuck Schumer. Like, there is no difference. Different people are writing them checks. But we should let this video go to like one more minute. I did retweet, if you follow me on the Twitter X at JRob from MN. I retweeted the whole 16-minute video. It's phenomenal. Watch. And we won't go through the whole thing, but let's give her one more minute because he makes a couple more great points.
Spending. But that's what Mr. Musk is doing. But you know, I've listened. This has been going on for a week. People have been screaming like they're part of a prison riot. Oh my God, look at what Musk is doing. He's looking at the spending. And I've listened to people talk about the process and debate whether it's constitutional and discuss how many lawyers can dance on the head of a pin. But you know what? I haven't heard one single person who's upset with President Trump or Mr. Musk talk about what he's found. They don't want to talk about the spending porn, the waste of taxpayer money that he's found. I mean, that's the point of all this. I tell you who is interested: the American people, the people in America who get up every day and go to work and obey the law and pay their taxes and try to educate their kids and try to do the right thing by their kids and try to save a little money for retirement, and have had to live through 20% inflation under President Biden. They understand what Musk is doing. They understand spending porn and wasting taxpayer money. Now, Mr. Musk.
Man, that hits home. Yeah, like, don't have to trust him here, but this is there goes the voice. This is 100% correct.
Well, and that's where American citizens are landing on a lot of this stuff, is like everybody's getting up, waving their arms and all concerned about this, that, or the other thing. But at no point are any of these Democrat politicians going, you know what? And I think, don't we have a video that like Carolyn Levitt goes through like what some of this money is being spent on?
You got that one next.
Yeah, let's play that one next. And like, occasionally we get some Democrats watching. Usually they would have clicked in. If you're a Democrat who's waking up, or if you think we're an idiot, like, drop a comment. We love to see you. But Carolyn Levitt, which, by the way, Todd, as a press secretary, how do you think she's doing?
I mean, it's not even fair to compare her to KJP. KJP was just a checkbox blob. So in terms of press secretaries, she's already fantastic. Don't waste your time comparing her to KJP. It's not even fair. KJP would lie every single day. She would just lie to your face. She would gaslight you, or she didn't have an answer. And she was so smug up there. But Levitt is just like, I'm speaking honestly, I'm speaking forcefully, and it is what it is. Like, it is night and day with these Republican and Democrat press secretaries, but she is phenomenal, and she's only 27 years old. I mean, the fact that she's 27 makes it even more impressive.
Well, and that's what's interesting too, is that part, like this Elon Musk team, and we've talked about generations, and we get grief every now and then because we give old guys like me grief about, you know, being a boomer or whatever. But Trump is bringing in some really young people, and I think that's huge for the conservative movement, the Republican Party, MAGA. I mean, guys like a 27-year-old as press secretary, gals like I mean, and this Doge team, these guys are all in their 20s, and
Well,
God love
JD
them.
Vance
Like,
is only 39, I think. He and I are the same age.
who's
I
that?
could be
Oh,
vice
yeah.
president. Vance is a young guy.
Right?
Vivek is a young guy. Yeah.
Giddy up. Oh, this is great.
Just say a strong message to Democrats who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting, federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you. Democrats are outraged that the American people want to be, they want their taxpayers going to good uses, not stuff like this. But then they're very quiet about the fact that there are still North Carolinians and people in California who have lost everything. And in the last 4 years, this federal government did nothing to help them. This president will continue to put Americans first. And I think the successes of this week so far speak to that. And it's only Wednesday. So I'll see you guys later this week, and we'll see you this afternoon. Thank you.
Todd, as she rattled down that list, I, as an American taxpayer, can officially go on record as saying I don't want one penny to go to any one of those things. Do you?
Seems, you know, Chuck Schumer was just yelling at me because I'm celebrating Donald Trump doing what I elected him to do. And at the same time, where's Chuck Schumer's outrage that U.S. aid is going to condoms in Gaza and Sesame Street in Iraq? He doesn't have a problem when there's no representation on those decisions. But I mean, again, to call it they have no values or principles. They just yell about whatever's going to get them power in the moment. Yeah, don't look into that, Donald Trump. The people didn't decide on that 100%. But sure, make Sesame Street gay and woke in Iraq and propagandize those poor people over there, too.
I was going to say, like, let that sink in. You, as an American taxpayer, Todd and I are self-employed, so we write checks to the federal government, where instead of like W-2s where it comes out of your check, when you're writing your check, just sit there and think, thank God we're paying for Sesame Street in Iraq. Like, we are making the world such a better place.
Jason, I wish Trump, there was a tweet about how he's going to change the tax code, and I know he's going to follow through on no taxes on tips. That'll happen. I'm still waiting for no taxes on income. And what I would really love to do is make withholdings illegal, because if every single American had to do what you and I do, or any small business owner does, where you actually write out a check, nothing gets withheld from your paychecks, it's never in your bank accounts, you never really miss it. If every American just had to write one giant check in April every single year, do you think they would be a little more concerned about how that money gets spent? Like, gosh, there goes $20,000. I could have bought a boat. I could have bought a car. I could have gone on some sweet vacations this year. But nope, I wrote a check to Uncle Sam at gunpoint. Again, and we got to get done with the phrasing too. Pay your taxes. I don't pay anything. The government steals my money. I'm not paying them anything. I'm not getting anything of value out of this. They steal your money at gunpoint, folks, with threat of imprisonment if you don't hand it over immediately. You are getting mugged to your face every single year. So much has to change, Jason. So
yeah, I don't know if we're gonna get there in Trump 2.0, but yeah, I love the income tax thing, and I saw like funny meme, and it's been around for a while, but it's like me doing my taxes. It's like to call the federal government, like, hey, so I owe you some money. Federal government says, yeah, go fill out this form. Well, can't you just tell me how much money I owe? Well, no, you got to go figure it out. But if you're wrong, we're going to fine you. And if you don't pay, and then it's like, can I see where it's going? Well, some, but not really, like, because some of it we need to keep from you. I mean, let's put all those initiatives on a ballot, send it out to all the American people. How many people want to vote to spend money on those things? The answer would be 0. Like, well, I
Well,
take
you would
that
get a
back.
few. You'd get a few of the blue-haired cat ladies that they want to feel good about themselves. So yes, let's propagandize the Iraqi children because everybody should have blue hair like me. Jason, I did. This is a tangent here. So Ronnie. Thanks for watching. You've made some comments here, a little outside of what we're talking about. Elon was left out of highly classifieds. Okay, so yeah, Elon doesn't need to know everything. That's fine. But then you talk about how the one on the right we got to look out for is Lindsey Graham because his wife is the head of one of the programs in South Carolina. I got to fact check this because Lindsey Graham's never been married. And Jason, when I Googled this here, I'm just going to share the screenshot really fast. I Googled Lindsey Graham married, and Google wanted us to know this. Personal life. Graham has never been married and has no children. He was close friends with the late Arizona Senator John McCain. Now, maybe I am reading into that too much, Jason, because I'm in a good mood today, but I find that a little hilarious. Like, no, he's not been married, but he was very close to another man.
Yeah, Ronnie, it is my opinion that Lindsey Graham's gay. I could be mistaken. But you are right about Lindsey Graham. He is a warmonger. We're going to get to him. Like, Doge hasn't got to the departments he's getting money from. He's not getting money on the Kazakhstani and Sesame Street LGBTQ yet. But when we get to those war contracts, oh boy, here we go.
Oh boy. You know, well,
and some of this stuff is so funny because, like, when we get to that, what's going to be interesting is, like, people use the example like, oh, they paid like $50,000 for a toilet, right? Or a toilet seat or whatever. It's one of two things. Either the toilet seat they had to special custom make, that's why it costs more, which is true in some cases for like bolts or brackets, that kind of thing. Or more likely, it's because the toilet seat was just an invoice for something else. And I'm going to give a shout out to Landman. K-Gun Girl, she tunes in the Wayne Dupree podcast. I was watching Landman. Like, wife and I are through episode 4, but in episode 1, there's this great scene where he's sitting in a restaurant and he's talking to the farmer or the rancher they rent land from. There was a fire. And the rancher goes, well, you need to be responsible for the fire. It did $350,000 worth of damage. And Landman goes, I can't admit fault in the fire. How about you let me lease a chunk of your land for $300,000 for a solar panel? And the rancher sits there confused. And he goes, I don't want you to build solar panels. And he goes, listen, stupid, we're not going to build a solar panel. You're going to bill me $300,000 for a 6 months lease to let me put up a solar panel that I'm never going to get up, and you're going to put up your $300,000. And I'm like, this is phenomenal. So when you are looking at some of this spending too, understand, like, it's a front. The money's not going for necessarily what's on the invoice, right? And a lot of it's just going to pay salaries of people that are just doing busy work to keep it tied up. It's amazing.
Yeah, you made a comment here. So I had remembered this clip. We actually did this video maybe a year ago. This is old, but you said the comment about why is it that there's always those jokes and the memes about the military spending way more money than they needed to for some common household good or whatever. To your point, Jason, at this point, folks, there's no question about it. It is all a front, is all a lie. It is all laundering of money because things shouldn't cost that much. Here was a clip in a hearing last year, I believe it was. Biden was president at the time, and he calls out $90,000 for a case of bushings, I think it is. Let's see.
Mr. Secretary, is a bag of bushings. This bag of bushings, stamped out by machinists, they need a high school diploma. It's not anything high tech about this. All of this bag is compliant with the FAA specifications. How much do you think the Air Force pays for this bag of bushings?
I don't know, Congressman.
$90,000.
I can go to Home Depot and get that for $90,000, but I'm sure, yeah, they just marked it up a little bit. Or what's actually happening is they are laundering money, buying votes, paying people off. That's it. That's it.
That's an excellent video. And actually, ironically, one of the guys that runs a protein shake place that I used to go to in Minnesota, super right-wing guy, and he has a side business that makes parts for airlines. And he kind of explained that to me, this is like 5-6 years ago, where he's like, yeah, you know, they'll contact us and they'll need like a part for a hinge that we made 10 years ago, and it'll cost a couple grand to get remade. And he's like, but anytime you see these exorbitant numbers like this, he's like, no, that's just money laundering. Like they're trying to pay us for something they don't want to be invoiced for. And I'm like, oh, that's fascinating.
All right, Jason. This is my pet project. I wanted to get to Brett Weinstein because I think this is I really enjoy this clip right here. I'm not even going to set it up. I'm just going to let Brett talk. Folks, this is fantastic. Nails it about the Warrens and the Bernie Sanders and the evolution of these corrupt politicians.
And I don't know about you, but as I was watching confirmation hearings, my sense was that the Elizabeth Warrens and the Bernie Sanders were dinosaurs who do not understand that the Earth has just been hit from outer space and that they don't live in the world that they are so used to. That their corruption was immediately apparent. And they're not used to that. They're used to having a whole phony journalistic layer that covers for them.
Right.
And that layer is gone, and the American public is awake, and it's angry, and rightfully so. And now it looks at Bernie Sanders, who, I remember the first time you and I spoke, you and I had both been Sanders supporters.
Yeah.
And now to see that same guy going after Bobby Kennedy, and, the feeble excuse, well, what if Bobby Kennedy becomes the head of H?
I always love watching the smoke on Rogan.
Right. That may not be.
That's not a cigarette or a cigar.
HS. And people don't have access to prescription drugs. And it's like, dude, I just lived through COVID. It's not obvious to me that they wouldn't get healthier if they didn't have access to prescription.
Oh, God. I don't know if we can let some of this play out on Facebook, Jason.
Yeah, and I guess to expand on what Weinstein's talking about, and this is where you can see the media corruption. So RFK Jr. has some opinions about some topics we can't talk about on some of these platforms. We'll get more into it on the Rumble only. But essentially, we support RFK Jr., even though I disagree with 90% of his politics. We want American food to be clean. We want to get how do we get people off pharmaceuticals? How do we get people not being out of shape? How do we get people eating healthy foods and find ways to make that, reasonable? How do we look at just the in general over medication of people and bring that down? And Big Pharma, they love it, and they love going after our kids. And this is where I got to be careful. So, like, our stepson was diagnosed with ADD when he was a young man. They drop him on methamphetamine, like Adderall. If you get the generic, it's methamphetamine. And they start him on that at a young age, and then you continue renewing that subscription in infantitum. We talked about it with the gender stuff. If you convince a young boy he's a young girl, as Big Pharma, you have a lifetime customer, buying drugs, paying for surgeries, going to practices, going to therapy, all that, lifetime customer. And these are the kind of things we want RFK Jr. looking at. How do we break that pipeline up? But in the hearings, he called out Bernie and Elizabeth Warren, which used to support those positions, and said, you guys are getting all this money from Big Pharma. So then the media fact checks them and says, no, we're not taking any money from the companies. Well, it turns out everybody working in Big Pharma donated to Bernie and Elizabeth Warren to the tune of millions of dollars. And there are some speculation that a lot of those small dollar donations might not have been legit. They might have been bigger groups using other people's names. But even if you take what's true on the surface, which is, Bernie got whatever the number was, $2.5 million from Big Pharma. And even if it was just all the workers in Big Pharma support Bernie Sanders, clearly Bernie Sanders is popular with the Big Pharma crowd. And surely he knows he needs to support Big Pharma legislation, or those workers are not going to support him. It's the craziest thing ever.
Jason, I love our new, I don't know how long you've been watching Wrong Think, but first time commenting today, I believe I would love to ask him if we should cut off foreign aid to Israel. I don't want to put words in the Trump admin's mouth, but you and I, Jason, how about no foreign aid to anybody? This is not a hard decision. I don't know if this is a go after Trump comment, or sometimes the leftoids like to come after us and say, yeah, but what about Israel? Did you not hear me the first time? I said end all foreign aid. So it would be interesting. How does Elon and Donald feel about Israel? I mean, Trump, you should have seen that video when he said, "I'm going to take over Gaza," and Bibi's over there like, "What?"
Right. Yeah, I got to say the Israel thing's always interesting, and I try to be morally consistent with it. I think that if I were an Israeli citizen and what happened on October 7th, I would be 100% in support of my government flattening Gaza. Like, I am not an Israeli citizen, so my opinion really doesn't matter. And I don't want my taxpayer dollars going to support either side of that. Right now, our taxpayer dollars are supporting both sides.
Yeah, I don't want instead of even supporting one side, they support both sides. I don't want any sides.
I don't want any sides. I want them to figure it out and then like, yeah, K gun girl, America first. Like, and here's the thing. I think that if we feel we should be involved in what's going on, we should, one, pick a side, two, declare war and let everybody go on record, and three, turn it into a parking lot. Like that is my opinion on any of these conflicts. Same thing with the Ukraine situation. We shouldn't be involved on either side. If we're going to, let's pick a side. Let's declare war on the other side, and let's get this handled as quickly as possible with as little loss of life and treasure as possible.
Well, and let's pretend we're actually interested in a winning outcome. I think if the United States military wanted to win a conflict, a hot conflict, it could probably do that in 24 hours. So you add in the fact our military might, our economic might, our technology might. If we really wanted to win a conflict, we could do it within a day. The fact that this thing in Eastern Europe has dragged on for 3 years tells me they're more interested in just, the cash cow, funneling money, laundering money, paying off crooked people, than they are actually fighting a conflict. That's obvious at this point, too.
Teresa hits it on the head. Dodge stands for Democrats officially getting exposed.
Oh, okay. Fact check us here. Yeah, DJ has cut off all foreign aid except Israel. Then I have qualms with Donald Trump. Yeah, I have no allegiance to Donald Trump other than he is doing things that we have never seen a politician do. If he is not cutting off aid to Israel, then cut it off.
They're actually, just to fact check that, too, there was a couple other countries he didn't cut off aid to. I can't remember which they were. I have to look it up quick.
Yeah, we better get these facts correct.
Right. Let me just look it up. We skip one. We probably got time for one more good video. God, there's so much.
There's so many. Yeah, I think we just start doing the Dem meltdowns here.
Yeah, right now, it looks like in his executive order, Israel and Egypt were received waivers for military financing.
And Egypt shares a border with Gaza, interestingly enough.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he even...
Oh.
Wrong Think Fan. We love people that can fact check.
I love our audience. We have such a smart audience. Yeah, Wrong
we do. I think it's fun when we get the guys in there and they're and like, where's Kev? Like, has he just ditched us? Because like he would always like be weighing in on things.
Yeah, all right.
He's probably over there on the Blaze.
Where is this here? I wanted to find one where they held the anti-Elon. Let me just see what this one was.
Oh my God, that's great.
This was from Greg Price. Let me find a Greg Price video. Bear with us, folks. That's one Greg. That's the wrong Greg. Let's try this one.
Asses, and we are going to make sure you understand what democracy looks like. This ain't it. Every movement needs a scrappy little dyke, and I am that person.
Scrappy little dyke.
Elon Musk is seizing the power that belongs to the American people. We are here to fight back.
Wait a second. If it belongs to the American people and we're okay with him not spending money on Sesame Street in Egypt, does that mean we get a vote?
Again, they're not mad about the corruption that's getting uncovered. They're mad about Elon Musk uncovering it. That says everything you need to know about this problem.
Organizing, mobilizing, agitating. We will see you in the courts, in Congress, in the streets.
I understand the rules that exist. If you're a Republican and you say, I'm going to see you in the streets, they're going to put you in prison for inciting an insurrection. It blows me away, though, how much these people love political violence. And by these people, I mean Democrats. There's Maxine Waters in Trump's first term. She was saying, when you see his people in the streets, you get in their face. Here's Ayanna Pressley saying, we're going to get you in the streets. Hakeem Jeffries has said the same thing in different occasions. These people are agitating for actual political violence. We'll see you in the streets means we're going to burn shit down again. Oh, I don't know if I can say that on Facebook.
Yeah. I got to say, too, shout out to Kagan Girl. He's just doing an audit. All these screaming, hysterical women are because he's just doing an audit.
Correct. They are mad at the audit. They're not mad at the corruption the audit is finding, because this just in, they know about the corruption and they benefit from it. And they don't want you to know about it.
Elon Musk is a Nazi nipple. Goddamn.
Can I play that part again? Like, these people are insane.
Go for it.
Listen to her finishing remarks before the video cuts away.
Elon Musk is a Nazi nipple. God damn it, shut down the city. We are at war. The red men speak, we war. They don't call us Mama Bear for nothing. Right? They don't call us Mama Bear for nothing. We are going to show up, we are going to fight, and we are going to be with you every step of the way. Muchísimas gracias. Hasta la victoria.
This is not Elon Musk's country. This is not Trump's country. This is our country. We deserve to have decent jobs. We deserve to have the respect. We deserve to be treated in a way that all Americans should be treated.
I don't know, man. Jason, we have like another minute left, and I think I'm maxed out on just the insane lying and double standards and hypocrisy. We're going to play it all, folks. This is going to be our final Facebook video here, but this is brutal to listen to because all it is lies. They don't care. They pretend to, oh, this is for all American people. Folks, they are mad that the corruption's getting uncovered. That is it.
And so let me just tell you now.
Have access to our Social Security numbers, our Social Security payments.
Important fact, that is incorrect. Like the head, I forget the guy's title, the head of whatever has confirmed in congressional testimony, and he did an interview the other day saying that they don't have visibility to individual stuff. And she knows that. She knows she's lying. Anyways.
Medical benefits. All of the information that we use when we are trying.
I'm sorry, Jason. There's so many comments to make here. Folks, I am reminded every time I see stuff like this. I've never seen a video of, what's her name, Sydney Kumlager Dove. The other gal a second ago from New Mexico, never heard of her before. It doesn't matter. When people advocate for bigger government, just understand the government is comprised of individuals. There's no such thing as like government in a sense. It is just people acting in cohesion with one another, usually corruptly. I don't want more government that is filled with the likes of these shrieking morons. The next time someone says we need government to solve our problems, just let them know that like the people you want to solve these problems are the idiots in this video. And I guarantee you, they are not capable of solving problems. They're not interested in solving problems. This is what you vote for when you vote for more government. Just faceless, nameless, clueless rubes like Sydney Kumlager Dove. That's what people are voting for and advocating for when they say, I want more government.
1.2, and this is one of my favorite responses on Twitter when somebody like this is screaming. Like, there's a lot of concern out there with deporting all the illegals that we don't have enough people to harvest the crops, to do the roofing, to be the maids or do the laundry. I am seeing a bunch of people here in this audience that are hyper qualified to go pick the blueberries, man. Like, let's turn them loose.
Yeah, I love Susan's comments. Susan, thanks for hopping over from the Wayne Dupree podcast. Join us on Rumble next time, Susan, but thanks for watching on Facebook. Thanks for commenting. I can't believe there are so many people who can even stand to listen to their screaming. I want to know that too. Like when Liz Warren was shrieking a moment ago, that grating voice, that yelling at you, berating, lecturing, condescending tone, who is out there cheering that? Like, it is just chalkboard in my ears. I was like, I can't even watch any more of this. That should be the normal response from everybody. Like, who is applauding this? Who's in the audience agreeing with this? Yep, I'm with you, Susan.
To get a motherfucking tax return.
I don't know, Jason. I always get told that Donald Trump's not befitting of the office of the president of the United States. And then these guys are out here just shrieking like whatever Ayanna Pressley finished her comments with about Elon. You got her over here. You got the other gal from New Jersey cursing like, if that's the standard, then all of you got to go. This is certainly not befitting of a congressperson.
with you in this fight, and we will win.
Wait. I love how she says you're going to take our money. The government already took our money, you
That's
idiot.
my money.
Yeah. She thinks it's her money because they stole it from us. Go!
They're using microphones. Yelling isn't necessary. But that's the thing. There wouldn't be a Democrat if you weren't like emotionally unstable like a child. Like they have to yell. That's all they're able. They can't just debate. They can't talk civilly. They have to yell because they are children.
We will win. We will win. We will.
Man, so many comments. I can't think of anyone less charismatic than Chuck Schumer. Like he's actually trying to lead a chant. Who is the absolute clown in the audience thinking like Chuck Schumer is so full of charisma. He's starting a chant, so I'm going to chant with him. Like this old buffoon, corrupt buffoon, thinking he's going to start a chant. And
oh my God, it's so ridiculous.
This is so painful.
Win. We will win. We will.
Everything, hands off our bodies, hands off our data, hands off our tax refunds, hands off our social security checks, hands off our constitution, hands off our democracy, hands off.
I got to make one point, and then we probably should wind down Facebook. We talk a lot about how we are not a direct democracy, and those clowns are why. Because as soon as they get 51% of people that align like Presley, they would radically transform this government. And Todd, what was that quote earlier that you used? Like, when we're in power, like, it was really smart. I can't remember what it was.
I need to just memorize this.
Yeah, but never let it be forgotten. These Democrats shout about democracy, and when they are in the minority, and I'm just saying like the crazies too, like Anna Presley, if they ever reach 51% of people with her ideological alignment, they would have no qualms throwing you and I in jail. They would totally run you over with the steamroller, folks. And that's why we are a constitutional republic, not a direct democracy. And it's designed not to have this overpowerful federal government. And in all that protesting, hands off our data. It's already been confirmed they can't get to your data. Hands off our privacy. It's already been confirmed that that's it. None of those people have any issues. And that's where Democrat brains are going to break. Not the crazy cat ladies, but normal Democrats. They're going to go, why are you shrieking about all this corruption being exposed? And why aren't you at least agreeing like, hey, we shouldn't spend money on Sesame Street in Kazakhstan? When they've been busted, they've been louder. Yeah, Falley's also got kids, and Todd and I were talking about that before the show. That's how you always know when your kids are up to no good. When you walk in the room and you're like, hey, what's going on in here? And they're like, nothing. Well, there's nothing. And the more they throw a fit, the more you're like, okay, what are you really doing? Like, we need to see it.
And isn't it rich? The same people that would vote to like continue the Patriot Act every year, just like, oh no, now you're privacy Americans, look out.
Right.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right. So, do you want to make the plug or do you want me to make the plug?
Go for it, Todd. You're the plug guy.
All right. Well, I got to say, Facebook audience, this is where we got to say goodbye here. Appreciate the comment section. I think every week, Jason, I say this, but every week it's true. We get more and more views, more and more comments from a very smart audience out there. Thank you for choosing Freedom from the Press. You got a lot of options out there, but you chose to watch us today. You chose to engage and comment. We appreciate that. Thank you for that. We hope to see you around next week. We're here every Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. If you want to continue with the podcast right now, that we're going to say goodbye to Facebook, we are still live over on Rumble. You can check us out on Rumble at the American Tribune. Type it in there when you get the app on your phone. It's just like YouTube. Head over to your desktop browser, rumble.com. Again, search out the American Tribune channel. It should self-populate, auto-populate after a while. We're going to continue on this thread of Dems supporting evil, Dems defending fraud and corruption. We got way more clips to show of these Democrats shrieking and hollering. If you can tolerate, if you can bear to listen to any more of it, join us in 1 minute. We're going to transition out of here. We're going to head over to Rumble. But Facebook audience, thanks for sticking around. We will see you next Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. And Rumble audience, we're just getting started. We'll see you in 60 seconds.
See you in a minute.